So I want to talk about a couple of things that you can do to really be mindful and purposeful about your communication so that you and the group can work to solve these problems together. Now, this first part is really talking about the idea of like loss in translation. When someone communicates to another person, there's a lot of filters that communication goes through. So, for example, I'm trying to tell John something, but I can't find the words, or I don't have the right words for it, so I just say some words. Well, right there, there's a gap between what it is that I mean to say and what it is that I'm actually saying, right? So there's a gap there. And so there, right in that moment, there's already miscommunication because I am having a challenge articulating the words to really nail on what I mean. One of the ways that you can help out with that is give people some time to just write on their own to help them process what it is that they're trying to say. Some people process faster, some people process slower. Neither is right or wrong, but it's just people have different ways of processing. So that's a big area where miscommunication can happen. The next part, so you said what you mean, and then what you say, there's a gap there. Then the next part is what you say versus what someone heard. In an age where we have technology that goes in and out, noises in the background, there can be a lot of things in the air that the words that someone say, you might be hearing something different. And so right there is another area where there's a big gap where miscommunication can happen. And so something to just be mindful of. Now, the next part is you heard what someone say, but then you try to understand what it is that they really mean. And so in that gap right there is another area where miscommunication can happen. So you said X, Y, or Z, but I'm thinking you're saying A, B, or C because I might be from a different culture, and so certain words might mean something to me differently than what they mean to you. Or I'm just tired and I'm having a hard time processing, so I think this is what you're saying. Or whatever it may be. So what we think we heard versus what we actually understand can be very different. So the goal is to close the gap between what it is someone means and what it is that you understand. That's the gap that we want to work to close. So you can do things like reflect back what they say using different words. Hey, you said this. Are you meaning this or you're meaning that? And then the person can say, yeah, this is what I'm meaning, or no, that's not what I'm saying. And they can help to get to what it is that people mean. So often people are like, that's not what you said. That's not what you said. But that's a waste of time. It's really about getting to what is it that people mean to say, not just what they said or what you heard, but finding that out. So that right there is going to help you look into where there might be gaps in the communication along with everything that we said. And in those gaps, you can start working to understand what it is that they actually mean. Putting the effort into what it is that they mean. Now, the next suggestion that I have for if you're working to solve a big problem that I've seen be really helpful is to come from a place, for you and your team, to come from a place of curiosity over judgment. Working to understand what's happening in the space, what's going on, what are people meaning, what is it that they're trying to say, where are we trying to go, what is it that you see, what is it that you see, before making any judgments or decisions on it. So coming from a place of curiosity allows us to understand the space with more clarity than if we came with our perceived notions of it. If we came and say, this is how it's going to be, versus Well, what do you think it should be? What are your thoughts of where we should go? What do you think is going to hold us back? And the more that, because you're working with the team and everyone has so much rich, valuable, diverse knowledge. And so this is how you can bring in the diversity of ideas and perspectives to get as clear of a picture of the challenge and the potential path to success that you and your group can have. So coming from a place of curiosity over judgment. Now, the final thing that I'm going to say for today is this mindset of embracing failure as learning. I think this is one that can be very difficult for us to do. I think cognitively we can understand that, but to emotionally live by that is a whole nother story. But to embrace this failure, it's something that we obviously as a team, as individuals, had to go through in order to get further along. And so going through that, we get to learn more about what's happening in the space. We get to learn more about how we can move forward better next time. Instead of feeling failure as if though you're a failure, as if the team is a failure, that doesn't help anyone. That's just going to kill morale. People are not going to speak. It's just going to create more divisiveness within a team versus using these challenges of these failures as a way to think of, okay, we just learned something. Now, how do we adjust differently and do better next time? Rather than beating each other up, saying how each other's bad or wrong, that doesn't help at all. But embracing it as learning opportunity creates a whole different experience on it. It's going to create a whole different variety of emotions with your team, and it's going to allow your team to progress farther, faster. Because if people can embrace it as learning, then they can be open about it and share about it and communicate about that, and then the team learns about it, rather than keeping it quiet, keeping it hush, and this little ember becomes a big fire that you have to figure out later. So if we just allow for it to be learning, it opens up the conversation, it allows the team to grow with one another, to form deeper connections with one another, and do better next time. So these are some of the things that you can do when your team is trying to solve a big problem. And I have a little gift for you. So in the description below, we have a free resource that really allows you and your team to be able to have better meetings and get to work better with one another so that you can have more productive, open, forward-moving, less divisive conversations so that your team feels a lot better emotionally, but they're also a lot more productive because you created a space that allows them to feel safe and comfortable and that they can open up and really work with and collaborate with one another to solve a big problem rather than be divisive and not engaged in this space. So that's going to be below. I just want to say I hope this was helpful for you all. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great day.